Hey guys, my name is Joanna, also known as Just Another Flutist here on YouTube, and today we are doing a special edition of my Practice With Me videos. Today is the first day of my period, and I am also at the tail end of recovering from a kind of like sinus infection or inflammation type of thing. It's the type where it hurts to breathe for a couple of days because the back of your nasal passage is so sore. So this is sort of my typical practice routine when I am unwell, and it really kind of depends on how unwell I feel. If I feel really unwell, I don't even practice, because when you're playing the flute, you're breathing in air through your mouth and you're therefore not filtering anything that you are breathing in. That can make you a lot sicker if you're already down. I feel like I should explain generally what my period symptoms are. I get back pain on the first day. It's lower back pain, and it is like a back pain that gnaws at you and kind of makes you feel like you're being eaten alive from the inside out. I know most ladies get cramps like in the front, but there's a smaller percentage of us ladies who have back pain instead. So I'm part of the back pain crew. When that happens, because my back muscles are tensing up so much, it makes it especially hard for me to support, because when you're supporting, you are clenching your ab muscles in the front. But my back muscles are already the ones that are getting really tense. I know that my tone suffers on the first day. Now, right now, the pain isn't really too crazy. If you're a person who has a period, you know what I mean. It's like the calm before the storm. I am feeling the periodness. Mood is not the best right now. I think I've caught you guys up enough about my own symptoms so you know what I'm dealing with right now. The back of my nose still has a little bit of mucus. I'm sorry if that's disgusting to you, but that is the situation right now. That will also kind of affect my playing today. The only playing I've done today was to demonstrate a few things to the students I was teaching. Now let's actually legit do some practicing. I'm working out of the Trevor Y book, my trusty holy grail. The first thing I do is I kind of check in to see what the situation is with how I'm playing. And the way I check in is by just doing harmonics straight up and down. So from low C, I do harmonics up as high as I can go. Maybe I'll try going up to the 7th harmonic and then I'll come back down. And it's just an observation. So I'm just going to see how things are going. Observations are, for today, for some reason, my low register and my middle register sound fine. But I did notice that by the time I got into around the middle register, I realized that I was not supporting at all. So you may have noticed me sitting up a little bit, and that sitting up motion is actually an effect. As soon as you engage your core, it will actually cause you to naturally sit up straighter. So it's not that you are like sitting at attention like this, because that causes even more tension in your back, but it's just that you're very nicely balanced. Like your whole spine and your head and your neck are very nicely balanced. When I was getting that 7th harmonic to come out, the issue there was that I wasn't shooting the air fast enough from far enough back in my mouth. It looks like today, if I am going to be messing around with higher register stuff, I need to make sure that I really send the air shooting from further back in my mouth. I think my tendency right now for today is to keep all of my air at the front of my mouth, which is really good on my flute for low register and middle register, but it's not so good for high register. Next, I am going to basically kind of make my flute teach me again how it likes to be played. So the way I do that is by taking my harmonics again. So I'll play the harmonic, and then I will play the real fingering version of that note, and I will try to match the tonal quality. Now what's going to happen is that when I play the real fingering version, in the same way that I play the harmonic version, it will cause my real fingering tone to sound really good. Then I go back to the harmonic fingering, and I try to make the harmonic tone sound as good as the real fingering tone I just did. Whatever changes I made to the way I played when I played the harmonic, I will play it again on the real fingering and see what happens to the sound. What's going to happen usually is that it sounds even better. And then so you go back and forth so that basically you are kind of playing catch up with yourself in terms of good tone quality. I actually use this way to figure out all of the flutes that come in through my door, through the Flute Center of New York. I feel like this is the way that like flutes teach me how they like to be played. So I'm just gonna get my flute to do that for me for today because I'm not feeling well. My body is not fully present in terms of playing this flute. So the change I made there was I noticed I was smashing my top lip against my top front teeth a little bit too much. So I just loosened that up a little bit right there. I think for today that's pretty good. We're gonna keep going. By the way, this is only applicable to my flute, okay? I was imagining the upper half of my mouth as being a little bit more open. I think earlier I was kind of crushing it down a little bit, so gotta make sure I don't do that. So at this point, this high up, I do have to open the top half of my mouth more and kind of focus on the air being shot from a little bit further back. But in the effort to open, further back in my mouth, I was smashing the top lip against my teeth more. So I found out by going back and forth that I needed to loosen up this top part again, and then that kind of opened the sound up. So in that one, I was just aiming the air stream too far down. I think in an effort to try and correct the pitch, I think I was overcorrecting it though. That one was not bad. Okay, so what's interesting here is that past the G, now we're on to the B flat. I feel like I have to not aim the air from the top half of my mouth anymore, but from the bottom, shooting upwards and then it coming down. That's very interesting that there's that break there. Now that I think of it, that is exactly how I usually play those super high notes, but in my weird, slightly mucusy state, I did not want to do that. Does not want to come out. The real fingering version is coming out just fine. By the way, apologies for the brightness going up and down. I am just filming next to my window. I cannot be bothered to take out my studio lighting today. I think that's the best I can do today, given my state. But definitely I had to shoot it from very far back in my mouth. I pretty much feel like I'm shooting from where, like, the mucus is in the back of my nose. See, as soon as I put it into words, I can execute it. I think that's the best I can do today. That's usually all I do for harmonics. Next, I do long tones. So I am now going, well, first off, my flute is leaking like there's no tomorrow. So I need to swab it out. Practicing too much when you still have mucus is probably not the best idea, but I wanted to show you guys how I would do it. If not for you guys, I probably wouldn't be practicing today. I think I got out most of the liquids. Trevor White does this thing where he gets you to create a reference note on B. Then what you do is you do your long tones half step at a time, just to kind of transfer your beautiful sound to all of the notes. So we're gonna start with this B4. The way I remind myself where to go is because my first harmonic on C is very close to this B. It's just one note off. So I just kind of like roughly remind myself how it's supposed to be played, and then I go straight in for the B. So I'm kind of playing connect the dots, if that makes any sense. That's not bad. So I basically did all the hard work on the harmonics rather than on this B. Most people go straight in for like low register tone development when they're trying to get their tone back. I find it doesn't really work that well for me. If I do more harmonics before I do tone, then it works really well. You can try my way and see if it works for you. I'm just gonna go straight into long tones, half step at a time. Oh, by the way, I am doing vibrato because I'm more just trying to get my tone back and not doing so much tone development. If you're doing tone development straight up, don't do this with vibrato because you need to know what the core of your sound actually sounds like without vibrato. Okay, so I'm aiming the air too far up for that A, which is why it's disappearing. With each switch to a new note, I'm actually making a tiny difference in the way that I play the note. So the angle of the air is actually just a hair different on every single note. A little bit of like the shape of your mouth on the inside too changes because of the angle of the air changing. Each note actually does feel slightly different from each other. But yeah, that's what I'm concentrating on right now. So I'm remembering from my harmonic work that today I have a tendency to smash my top lip against my top front teeth, which is causing the sound to sound a little closed sometimes. So right there on the F sharp, I was doing that. That's why I repeated it a couple of times to try and get myself to loosen up my top lip. I've basically built up all the fundamentals of the range of the flute. So you can kind of see the low register as the fundamental register, and then all of the registers above it are like the harmonic registers. I know that for myself, if I build up the low register really, really well, then it sets a really good foundation for me to play all the other notes really beautifully. On an unwell day, I will only do low register because that's all I can take. As we speak right now, I am starting to feel the pain come. I need to make sure from here on out in the practice session, I really need to make sure I am engaging my core. It will actually help relieve some of the pain too. The last thing I do in these unwell period practice sessions, I do Machiavellian exercises. Now, this is because these are pretty much like the most challenging exercises. If I can play these exercises, then I can play anything. I don't want to show it to you just because I'm not sure if there are any copyright issues, but it's on page 74. These are basically kind of like tongue twisters for the flute. We are just concentrating on my fingers. These are very nasty, extremely nasty. By the way, if you cannot get this book on hand, I know that Scribd.com, I believe it's called, has the Trevor Y books on them. I believe it's only like, was it like $7 to $10 or something like that for like a monthly subscription, and then you get access to like basically the sheet music library of your dreams. So now that I have my tone at least mostly back, I don't have to worry about my tone anymore. I know exactly what I need to do for my tone. There's no guesswork involved anymore. Now I can just figure out what my fingers are doing for today. Here we go. We're gonna start with number 1. These fingers were not coming up in time for the G sharp, so that was causing a bit of a blip. That's what I was working on right there. Oh, I think my thumb port's in the way. By the way, if you guys are wondering why I got it so quickly, it's because I've already trained my fingers to do this before. Right now is more of like a recall. I already have trained my ring finger to come up faster so that it can match my middle finger and my index finger in how quickly it releases the keys. I'm on number 3 now. Still a bit of a blip there. So that is really not cooperating today. I may be having the opposite problem. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what's happening. Yeah, I think I'm penduluming right now. So I call it penduluming when you overcorrect something to the point that you're making the opposite mistake. So now my ring finger is too fast. penduluming back now. Yeah, penduluming back. Woo, 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 woo. Finger twister. So I can get it like once or twice out of the 4 times. Maximum twice. Okay. You notice that when I did number 5 just now, it was totally fine. So what's happening is that it's the E to F sharp, because E to F sharp already plays with the ring finger there. So that is affecting how my ring finger is behaving from the D to the G, because it's already moved. It's almost like my ring finger has momentum already built in. So maybe that's why I'm overcorrecting. Better. Yeah, it's definitely that F sharp before the D. It's causing my brain to kind of treat the D as not as its own note, but as like an afterthought of the D sharp, but also like a weird grace note-ish kind of thing to the G. So I need to think of the D as its own note, which I am currently not doing. Did it. Okay. We're going to call it that is okay for today. Or else I'm just going to be doing this forever. And you guys are going to be bored out of your minds. Like if I was doing it for real by myself, I would do that probably another 10 or 15 minutes. We're going to move on. had to kind of cheat that one. I had to just stare at the first beat and just do it over and over again. And you have to think of it as 2 pairs of thirds. If you don't think of it as 2 pairs of thirds, you're toast. Cool. Oh, so this one has evenness issues. The only way that your ring finger is involved here in terms of like being a key component in changing a note is releasing it rather than putting it down. That is kind of strange on the brain. It's like, whoa. Yeah, better. And then 11. 12. I believe I need to call it quits for now. If I was doing this on my own, I would probably do the rest of this whole thing, which goes all the way until number 39. If the Machiavellian exercises are a little bit too tough for you, you can do the exercises that he has right before it. He has like a series A, B, C, D, and E, I believe, and they're just like little wiggle exercises attached to like half scales. Those are very, very useful. You could use those in the same way that I just used the Machiavellian exercises. They're really good to just kind of like figure out what your fingers want to do or what they don't want to do for that particular day. At this point, I'm feeling like, yeah, if I was put in a situation where I had to go to rehearsal tonight, I know for a fact that I can play with pretty good tone. I understand what my fingers want to do or what they don't want to do today. So I can kind of counteract the problems and I can, you know, not worry about the issues that I don't have issues with. Basically, this type of practice routine that I took you guys through was more of like a, let's see how I play so I can take out all of the guesswork. Once you take out all of the guesswork, then practicing anything else after this routine will be a lot less frustrating because you won't be struggling with your tone. You won't be struggling against your fingers. There you have it. I hope this was insightful and I hope it was helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what your practice routines are when you're not feeling really well. I think it'd be fun to share. So anyway, I'm gonna go get some rest. If you like this video, make sure you give me a big thumbs up and hit subscribe for new videos every Saturday. This is my last video, which I will put a link to up here for you guys. If you want to support me, head on over to my Patreon, or you can catch me on my social media networks that are listed down below. And I will see you guys next week. Bye. I'm looking out of the Trevor Y. Oops, wow, it is coming out. Oh dear. The reason why I try not to film videos when I'm on my period is because I just end up rambling. I end up cutting most of what I film. My brain always feels kind of like jumbled up when I'm on my period. Like I can't think properly. But I did want you guys to kind of like see that I deal with this too. I don't feel amazing all the time.